Hey everyone, I'm Anya Esma, and today I just want to ramble about spellcraft. The reason I'm making this video is because the other day I was casting a spell, which does not happen often, as the people who follow me regularly know. I do not cast spells much, I do not do many rituals either. But the other day I did. I did cast a spell out of a need. And I just wanted to talk about how I do it because I feel like a lot of people are very limited in the way that they cast spells. Now, what I mean by that is I think the biggest, most important ingredient for spells that I've found for myself is self-trust. And that is an easy thing for me to say because I have a lot of self-trust, kind of too much sometimes. Where I just do things the way I want them. And I think that is important in spell work because it is a deeply personal thing. It's not, in my opinion, something where I can go and read from a book, okay, this is that binding spell, this is that love spell, this is that money spell, and I'm going to do it exactly how the book says. Now, what I do is sometimes look at how other people do spells and just get inspired by the steps that they take, though I don't do that very often either, if I'm honest. So at the end of the day, I just sort of do what feels right, because if you are casting a spell, a lot of the time you are getting into this state of knowing what is the right next thing to do. And as always, I want to say not every spell is going to feel like that. Not every moment is the right time for a spell. Not every time you will be like, I'm divinely inspired to do this now. That's not what I'm saying. But with the spells of mine that have been the most effective, I have literally just said, okay, I will do a spell now. This is my goal. This is my intention. And then I start doing things. Possibly you need some experience for this, though I feel like I've done it like that from the beginning, even when I had no idea about spellcraft. So at the end of the day, I sit down, I set my intention. What is the intention that I'm trying to achieve? What do I want to achieve with the spell? What do I want to happen? And always leave a way out, basically say that XYZ should happen, or whatever is in alignment with my highest good or with another person's highest good, or whatever is best for me. Like, I do it very, very spontaneously and randomly. I just say like, okay, this is my intention, or whatever is best for me, or just lead me on the path to whatever is best for me, you know? So you kind of roughly know the topic, and the spell is to bring you into a mindset to act on the earthly realm in alignment with what your intention is. So at the end of the day, for example, if I say, okay, I have a piece of rope and I'm going to put a knot in it, and as I'm putting a knot in it, I'm thinking about the fact that I want to act in more ways that are healthy for me, whether that means working out, eating well, cutting off people who are annoying me, not annoying me, but you know what I mean, cutting off people that have no place in my life, all of these things, or having to move to another place, or having to get out of a certain situation. I wasn't even specific with that spell, for example. I was just saying, I want to be more aware of what is good for me and want to act in accordance with that. And I made a knot in a rope. I put my hand on the rope and thought again about this intention. Then I put the rope somewhere in my apartment, and that was basically it. Now, I know that a lot of people say for spells, you should have this whole like intention setting, then raising energy, then releasing energy, then closing the circle, casting the circle, whatever, the whole thing. I don't want to be disparaging towards it. If you like doing that, that's great. If it helps you, if it gets you results, that is great. But I think I want to make a case here for something more freestyle or more, I don't know, random, because I think some people kind of get caught up in their minds when it comes to spells and then end up not doing them. And a lot of the time, what spell work is for me is getting into sort of a flow state, which 100% is not about thinking, oh, now I should raise energy, now I should release energy, now I should eat something. It's much more freestyle than that. It's like I'm sitting down, I know my intention that I want to achieve is XYZ, and then I think about, what does this relate to? Like, well, what would I do in the physical realm and mentally in order to achieve this intention? So, for example, for one spell, what I did was I sat down, I journaled about the topic, I did tarot about the topic, then I posted an Instagram story about it, but not directly, just sort of speaking about it in a philosophical sense to get out those thoughts and get my mind into the right mental state for it. And I consider all of this part of the spell. Posting an Instagram story is part of the spell for me. Doesn't mean it has to be for you. You don't need Instagram to cast magic, but you get what I'm saying. And after that, I just sat down and I felt like, okay, I have to eat something. So I ate something, and as I prepared the meal and the tea that I had with it, I thought about the intention again. And this all felt like part of the spell. Then I ate, thinking about the topic, thinking about my intention, how it could play out in a positive way. And then I got the idea that I had to watch one episode of a specific show. In this case, it was Cowboy Bebop, the anime, not the Netflix show that is about to come out. But anyways, maybe if I'm uploading this video, it's already out. Either way, I took a random number generator, put in 1 through 26 because Cowboy Bebop, the anime, has 26 episodes, and picked a random number, watched that episode, thought about, how does this relate to the spell? Why was this episode given to me? And used it for my reflection. Then I think at some point I also wrote down the intention and then burnt it in a candle. You know, it's very haphazard how I cast spells. I have no order to it. I just do what feels right. It felt right in that moment to write the goal on a piece of paper, and then it came to my mind that I could burn it. Obviously, in order to have these ideas, you kind of have to know some things about spell work. But I also believe that if you know nothing about spell work, you would still get ideas like that if you truly let yourself be creative and go with the flow. For example, if you are binding someone, it is very good to not just block them, or you don't even have to block them. Honestly, you can also rename them on your phone. Great way to also add a little magical twist to that. In this case, as I said, the Instagram story was part of it. So you have the whole digital sphere supporting your spell as well. And I also probably used a random word generator at some point. If I feel like I'm stuck or I don't know what to do next, sometimes I just throw a random word, or let the internet throw a random word at me, and it kind of helps me understand, or helps me think of the next step. And at some point I feel like, okay, this session is concluded. Now, some people would not call this a spell. You could just call it like everyday life dealing with something. But the fact that I have an intention and that I decide that the next hour or so is a spell, everything I do contributes to my intention, is part of the spell. And I will know when the spell is done. So one important thing I want to say, sometimes you do a spell and you feel like it's not done. If I have that feeling, that means it's not done. For example, if I started a spell by saying, okay, I want $1,000 or whatever is in my best interest, and I write it on a piece of paper, let's say I make a sigil of it. I make a lot of sigils as well. So write it down on a piece of paper, roll it up, and burn it while I'm thinking about it. Now I'm sitting there and I'm like, the energy feels a little bit shifted. I feel a little bit different, but it doesn't feel like it's entirely done. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I've shifted into a new being and everything in my life has changed. Obviously, some spells take time. They can take days for you to feel differently, but if you are attentive to the energy of your body and what is going on around you in your environment, then you will notice when the energy has shifted sufficiently, let's say, to end the spell and to feel like the spell has had full effect. Sometimes that can take time. Don't let it frustrate you, because sometimes in the past it used to frustrate me. I'm like, I've burnt this piece of paper, I've set my intention, and now I just want to be done with it. I want to do something else. I have other things to do, you know? But then I sit there, I'm like, no, it's not done. I can feel it's not done. And that's when random word generators can come in. That's when a random episode from a show that you like can come in. That's when tarot cards can come in to guide you further down that kind of freestyle spell work path. That is the one thing I want to say. And another thing that I've said many times is spells work best when I forget them. So if I sit here and tell you that I do spells super rarely, that is partly due to the fact that most of the time I don't remember that I did them. So if I had to be really honest about it, I possibly do one every month or every 2 months, sometimes maybe every 2 weeks, but I couldn't tell you because I forget it. I literally forget it. And I don't know how to help people forget spells, because for me it's one of the core aspects of it. If I forget about it, it's much easier for the spell to work, I feel like, or I see the results after a little bit. But obviously there are spells that I do that have no results or don't feel like they led to the result that I wanted, but then I don't even think about it, you know? For me personally, I have to say this, I'm not a person of experimenting what works best, and then the next time I do a spell, I'm like, oh, this worked, this didn't work, and then I put it all together in like a new, improved version. I do not believe that it works like that for me personally. I just have to go with the flow. I just have to freestyle it. I can't sit there and make myself do certain things. Of course, I do sometimes, but it's never like a ritualistic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step thing. Which is not to say that sometimes I wouldn't say that's a great way to do it. Maybe I'll do it like that one day if it feels right, but it has to feel right. And you have to see what is the requirements and the vibes of this particular spell that I'm trying to do, and then work with that. Okay, so I've rambled on now. I had no notes for this video really, and I hope that it still made sense and that it was still interesting to you. I also feel like, you know, these videos, I don't make them to teach you anything and say like you have to do it like me. I just want to ramble about it and see how other people do it, see how other witches feel about it, other sorceresses, whatever you want to call yourself, and see what comes of it. I'm not doing this to say you're doing it wrong if you follow a book spell. Different things are right for different people. And at the end of the day, it's about having the trust in yourself to know what is right and to do what is right in that moment, in that spell. So yes, that's the end of it. Thank you so much for being here. If you like this video, please like it and consider subscribing if you haven't yet. Leave me a comment if you want about how spell work is working out for you, if you agree with me or if you do it completely differently. Let me know. And yes, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon.